Hello and welcome to KYC. In this episode, we are traveling to Grand Canyon. Stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon. Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon is a canyon in Arizona, United States, with steep cliffs on both sides. It was carved out by the Colorado River. The length of the Grand Canyon is 277 miles, 446 kilometers, its width can reach up to 18 miles, 29 kilometers, and its depth can reach more than a mile, 6,093 feet or 1,857 meters. The Grand Canyon National Park, the Kaibab National Forest, the Grand Canyon Parashant National Monument, the Hualapai Indian Reservation, the Havasupai Indian Reservation, and the Navajo Nation all share jurisdiction over the canyon and its adjacent rim. Theodore Roosevelt, who served as President of the United States, was a fervent supporter of efforts to protect the Grand Canyon region and frequently traveled there to hunt and take in its breathtaking vistas. As the Colorado River and its tributaries cut their channels through layer after layer of rock while the Colorado Plateau was being uplifted, nearly 2 billion years of the geological history of Earth have been exposed. Although there is some disagreement among geologists regarding the history of the canyon's formation, several new studies lend credence to the idea that the Colorado River established its path through the area between 5 and 6 million years ago. Since that time, the Colorado River has been the driving force behind the downcutting of the tributaries and the retreat of the cliffs, which has resulted in the canyon becoming both deeper and wider. Native Americans have lived in this region continuously for thousands of years. They built their settlements within the canyon and the many caves that are located throughout the area. The Pueblo people revered the Grand Canyon as a sacred location and frequently traveled there on pilgrimages. Garca López de Cardenas, a Spanish explorer who arrived in the area in 1540, is credited with being the first known European to have observed the Grand Canyon. The past of the region surrounding the Grand Canyon. When the first evidence of human presence in the area was discovered, which was 10,500 years ago, the beginning of the known human history of the area surrounding the Grand Canyon began. At least the last 4,000 of those years have seen Native Americans making their home in the Grand Canyon and the surrounding area, which is now protected as Grand Canyon National Park. Ancestral Pueblo peoples evolved from the desert culture into the more well-known Pueblo people as a result of the desert culture's members becoming less nomadic and more reliant on agriculture. Initially, this resulted in the development of the basketmaker culture. The Cochimi were another culture that called the canyon home and they lived there too. It is likely that drought in the late 13th century was the driving force behind both groups' decisions to move on. Other groups of people then followed, such as the Paiute, the Serbat, and the Navajo, all of whom were subsequently coerced onto reservations by the government of the United States. Captain Garca López de Cardenas was in charge of a group of Spanish soldiers and Hopi guides when they arrived at the Grand Canyon in September 1540. They were following the instructions of conquistador Francisco Vázquez de Coronado, who wanted to locate the mythical 7 cities of gold. More than 200 years passed before a group of Europeans, in this case priests from Spain, became the second non-Native American group to view the canyon. The Powell Geographic Expedition of 1869 was led by Major John Wesley Powell of the United States Army and traveled through the canyon on the Colorado River. The geology of the Grand Canyon region was uncovered as a result of this study as well as subsequent geological research, which contributed to the advancement of this field of study. At the tail end of the 19th century, renewed interest in the region was spurred on by the prospect of numerous mineral resources, most notably copper and asbestos. In the 1880s, the first pioneer settlements along the rim of the canyon were established. The first people to settle in the area quickly came to the conclusion that mining would never be as lucrative as tourism, and by the turn of the 20th century, the Grand Canyon had already established itself as a popular tourist destination. Stagecoaches were the most common mode of transportation for tourists making the arduous journey from neighboring towns to the South Rim. After the opening of the Grand Canyon Railway in 1901, which connected Williams, Arizona to the South Rim of the canyon, the growth of formal tourist facilities, especially in Grand Canyon Village, skyrocketed. The Fred Harvey Company established a number of establishments within the Grand Canyon, including the opulent El Tovar Hotel, which opened in 1905 on the South Rim, and Phantom Ranch, which opened in 1922 within the Inner Gorge. Even though it received federal protection for the first time in 1893 as a forest reserve and then again as a United States National Monument, the Grand Canyon did not become a United States National Park until 1919, which was 3 years after the National Park Service was established. The number of people who visited Grand Canyon National Park each year in 1919 was only 44,173, which is a far cry from the approximately 5 million people who now visit the park each year. Amazing Grand Canyon facts. 1. The Grand Canyon National Park encompasses an area that is larger than the state of Rhode Island in its entirety. When compared to the size of Rhode Island, which is approximately 1,212 square miles, the park spans an enormous 1,904 square miles. In certain spots, the canyon itself is more than 10 miles wide and has a depth of over a mile. Photo courtesy of the National Park Service/Grand Canyon National Park. 2. The Grand Canyon is seen by the Hopi people as a passageway that leads to the afterlife. The people of the tribe have always accorded the location a high level of spiritual importance. They believe that a person's journey to the afterlife begins with a westward passage through a place of emergence, which is located upstream from the confluence of the Colorado and Little Colorado rivers in the canyon. They believe this passage occurs when a person dies and begins their journey to the afterlife. 3. The temperature range is very broad throughout the canyon. There can be a temperature difference of more than 25 degrees between the highest point of the canyon and its lowest point. In the summer, the gorge's depths reach infamous levels of heat, while the North Rim routinely experiences temperatures well below freezing in the winter. 4. There are caves tucked away in every corner of the canyon. It is estimated that the canyon contains 1,000 caves, but so far, only 335 of them have been discovered and documented. There is only one cave that visitors can enter. 5. In 1909, the canyon was the setting for a massive hoax that was perpetrated there. According to a report in the Arizona Gazette, archaeologists rummaged through an underground tunnel in the canyon and found remnants of an ancient civilization that may have been Tibetan or Egyptian. The Smithsonian Institution has refuted the entirety of this story, claiming that they are unaware of the archaeologists in question. Conspiracy theorists continue to hold the view that this may have been an attempt by the government to conceal something. 6. At one time, the Grand Canyon was the site of a thriving photography industry. During their time spent photographing the Grand Canyon for their own purposes, the Kolb brothers came to the realization that they could make money by photographing tourists. They would take a picture of the tourists before they rode off on the mules and then sell the photos to the tourists after they had completed their journey. Grand Canyon Village is home to where the Kolb studio can be found. 7. The Grand Canyon is not the deepest canyon in the world, despite the fact that it is the most well-known canyon in the world. The Cotahuasi Canyon in Peru and the Kali Gandaki Gorge in Nepal both have gorges that are considered to be deeper than the one in Arizona, which is considered to be the third deepest gorge in the world. 8. There are fossils to be found throughout the canyon. However, none of them are dinosaur fossils because the canyon layers were created a very long time before dinosaurs roamed the earth and left their footprints. On the other hand, it is where fossils of ancient marine animals that date back 1.2 billion years have been found. Photo by Michael Quinn, courtesy of the NPS. 9. There are pink snakes that live in the canyon. The Grand Canyon pink rattlesnake is one of 6 different species of rattlesnakes that can be found within the boundaries of the Grand Canyon National Park. It can only be found in the Grand Canyon. Because of the pink color of the snake, it can easily blend in with the rocks that are in the area, which makes it even more surprising for a tourist to catch a glimpse of one. 10. The age of the Grand Canyon is a subject that is hotly debated among experts. It was long believed that the Colorado River started carving out the canyon 6 million years ago, but recent studies have shown that this process may have actually started 70 million years ago instead. This is all for now. Thank you for being with us.